becoming more common, and one can understand why. These workers were already largely being abused and lost out on the pay wasn't keeping pace with cost of living and things like that. This is before the pandemic, which increased the load of hours and generally resulted in less pay going to them. And when you see companies getting through the pandemic and doing quite well, executive pay going up after you did 12-hour shifts 7 days a week for months, yeah, you're gonna be kind of frustrated about that. And so we're seeing a lot more of this. We should see a lot more of this. I will only say one other thing I wanna say is occasionally we'll cover some like story about Fox Business or CNBC or something like that on the main show. And I will always point out, it seems weird to me because I'm a dumb, naive idiot, that we have all these business channels, but they're only ever about the CEOs and the stock price.
Yeah.
Like, why isn't a business channel doing coverage on the ground of strikes on behalf of the workers? That's business. That's how business is run, is with the workers. If the workers are being abused and that stops business, how is that not a thing they'd talk about? Because of course, that's not what business channels are, not about business. They're about stock prices and CEOs doing well. But we should have that. Business channels should be as labor as they are CEO, if not more, but they're not.
Isn't that weird? That's weird that's the radical point of view, to focus on the workers, because the workers aren't really, at least in this mindset, the workers aren't a part of the business running. They're just there to facilitate the people at the top that own the businesses or that are running the business. That's the way it's supposed to be. These workers don't have a place. And that's just capitalism, like in a hierarchical society that we have. Hey, I'm at the top, you're at the bottom, you're supposed to be garbage and dirt and do everything I tell you for nothing. And if you don't like it, you're entitled. It's crazy.
100%. Yeah. Someone saying in the chat, are you pitching a TYT business show? I told Anna she should start TYT business show, but no, not at this point anyway. We got a lot of new content recently. We want to focus on building that out. Anyway, I don't think that we have the time to do the last story, and I thought that Sophie's the producer that's working on the Skype call. She produced the story yesterday. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna do it. But this is Big News Wednesday. It swells. You can't fit in everything that you want.
She produced it yesterday. That means you guys did it yesterday, right? Why would we do a story that you guys obviously did yesterday when it was produced yesterday?
I will do it 10 times. So anyway, J.R. Jackson, as always, I want to thank you, but I want to thank you double, not only for doing the show today, but also for helping me out with the second hour later on. Very much appreciated. Thank you.
It'll be fun. I mean, why not? We gotta jump aboard, make it happen.
We do. You'll have fun. You and Adrian are gonna do an awesome job. So thank you for that. For those of you at home, thank you very much for watching. I have like a minute and a half, and I'm gonna use that to do a couple of things. One, I'm going to read some of your comments. Let's see, Eurolino says, things like calling them has to be done so there's a record of their contempt for the people. The way they ignore and stonewall the people has to be demonstrated. I do not disagree with you, and do all of that. And for a lot of politicians, I think it still can matter. And mattering is not the only reason to do it. I grant you that, but I have to be honest with you. And I don't think that they individually are going to be affected by it. If you want to do it anyway, great, do that. Be invested, be active. I agree. Donkey Teeth BTIS says, if Democrats cared one bit about getting anything done, they'd end the filibuster, because when the tables are turned, the Republicans don't give a crap. That is true. And as I've said a million times, first of all, if the Republicans ever get something they want to do, the filibuster will be gone in 5 minutes. But they don't need to, because they already can do everything they need to do without the filibuster. The carve-outs exist for the tax cuts. They'll do it via reconciliation. The carve-out exists for their judges. You already don't need 60 votes for that. That's the only stuff they want to do. So this idea that like, oh no, but someday the Republicans, no, now, yesterday, a week ago, 5 years ago, the Republicans already, this is not hypothetical. They already have the advantage. We want parity, that's all we want. Anyway, Dragon Dancer says, eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. Good point, JR, agreed. Kide says, every day I'm amazed how backwards a place the US actually is. Death penalty in 2021, how could anyone think it's the greatest country on earth? We can't even agree that it's a bad thing to cough in each other's mouths. So just lower your expectations for the US.
No, that.
But anyway, there you go. Anyway, Indisputable is coming up, so don't go anywhere. And I will be leading the first hour of the Young Turks with Adrian, so stick around for that. Conversation as Nina Turner, David Sirota as well. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And they're gonna be joined by Bill McKibben as well. But until all of that, stay safe out there, stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.
Welcome. It's indisputable. Good to be with you. I'm your host, Rashad Ritchie. We have a lot of show today. Breaking down news of the day. Dina Doll, attorney at law and analyst, legal analyst, will give us the legal angle of many of these stories. Also, in the bullpen, my debate segment, I will have Alexander Salter, economics professor and co-author of Money and the Rule of Law, Comparative Economics Research Fellow, Free Market Institute. Should be quite interesting to chop it up about economics and money, all right? Top story of the day, one of the people who brutally killed Ahmaud Arbery would like special treatment. Let me give you some background. Let's put up the picture of the killer, one of the killers. His name is Travis Michael. Let's put his picture up. There he is, Mr. Michael. He's one of the individuals who killed Ahmaud Arbery. for those of you who may not remember what happened, let me take you back to that tragedy down in South Georgia.
Michael and his son Travis, who shot Arbery twice with a shotgun before the 25-year-old collapsed and died.
Okay, all right, so you saw that, sad, horrific, right? It was a murder. They chased him down and killed him. He was jogging. Now, Travis McMichael, one of those killers, he would like special treatment. One of the men accused of chasing and murdering Ahmaud Arbery is fighting to ban certain photo evidence from his upcoming trial. Now get this, Travis McMichael and his attorneys have requested that the court ban a photo of his old Georgia flag theme vanity license plate, which includes a Confederate emblem. Let's show a picture of the truck with the Confederate emblem they would like to suppress. Now, this was the vehicle they used to kill Mr. Arbery, as he was simply jogging in a white community. They want to ban this. Let me show you a picture of what this looks like up close. Here it is. They want to ban that. Keep that up there because this is contrary to what they've told us this was. I mean, those who support the Confederate flag and Confederate symbols and emblems, they have always told us this is about heritage, not racism. This is about history, not bigotry. That's what they have told us. So what's the problem? This is your history, right? This is part of your heritage, correct? Why ban it? Because you know good and damn well what it was truly about. And you know that members of the jury would know good and damn well what you are about when they see this emblem also. Prosecutors say Arbery was merely jogging in February when the father and son duo, Gregory and Travis McMichael, armed themselves and chased the young Arbery in a pickup truck in their neighborhood just outside the port city of Brunswick, about 70 miles south of Savannah. A neighbor joined the chase, William Roddy Bryan, took cell phone video that showed Travis McMichael fatally shooting Arbery as he threw punches and grabbed for McMichael's shotgun. Arbery was unarmed when he was killed by 3 shotgun blasts at close range. He actually tried to get away from these guys. Now, some people are giving credit to William Roddy Bryan, saying that he's the reason that this case broke wide open, and he should be given some credit for taking the video. You do realize he was recording so that those sick SOBs could continue reviewing what they did to this young black male. That's what he was there for. Attorney, what are your thoughts here? Are they going to be able to suppress the fact that he had this emblem on his truck when committing the murder?
You know, I have been following this case and it's scheduled to go to trial October 18th. Now, sometimes the most important part of a trial is these pre-trial motions because that depends on what evidence goes in. So it's very important, this motion, and we're gonna see some others before the 18th. What his defense argues is that this is too prejudicial, that this is too inflammatory. You know, in the United States, we don't put people on trial for being bad people, and that this is what this evidence shows. But the prosecutors are going to say, and have said, that this is actually more probative. It is irrelevant information because they are claiming self-defense, and the prosecutors are saying, no, he intended to kill him because of his race, and this evidence goes directly to intent. But that's what the judge is gonna weigh, probative versus prejudicial. I think the determining factor will be the fact that this truck was at the crime scene. Like you said, it was part of the crime. If it had been parked at home, probably he may not have let this in. But because it was there, I think the judge will allow this in.
You know, in my evidence class in law school, I'm remembering probative versus prejudicial and how a judge has a lot of latitude as to what they weigh when making these decisions. I do believe based on that probative versus prejudicial value structure created by a judge, basically, that the truck is there on the scene. There's no need to ban or block what was on the truck. I think it's a different story, attorney, if we're talking about going to his home and he has a bunch of Confederate symbols there. Then maybe you're on the other side of that probative versus prejudicial, but this was actually at the scene of the murder. All right.
I agree. Yes, I agree.
We got another story, really interesting fella here. Remember when I told you about the data hack and Oath Keepers, the far right extremist group subscribes to white supremacy ideology, that group? Well, the hack revealed that a bunch of active federal government workers, state government workers, members of law enforcement are members of this group. Let me bring your attention to one sheriff in California. This sheriff has acknowledged, yes, I am part of the group, but he has an excuse. You won't believe what the excuse is. Let's put up a picture of the Riverside County Sheriff. Chad Bianco was a dues-paying member of the Oath Keepers in 2014. An affiliation he acknowledges and makes no apologies for, despite the group's reputation as a militia of anti-government extremists, okay? He has no problem. Yep, he's a member. He paid his dues. He gets exposed. But here's what he says. He says he forgot. Oh, completely forgot I was a member of this group. Completely forgot I wrote them checks. I forgot about all of this. Let me give you some background to this sheriff. Members of the Oath Keepers allegedly played a role in the storming of the nation's capital during the Stop the Steal terrorist attack. Bianco, however, defended the group as pro-Constitution. Now remember, these guys committed an act of domestic terrorism. They have been arrested, charged. Currently, many of them are being investigated. He says it was actually pro-Constitution, pro-freedom, an organization mislabeled by the FBI and mainstream media. So he blames the mainstream media and the FBI for these criminals trying to overthrow American democracy, stop the certification of the electoral process, which is, by the way, a constitutional mandate. It's quite interesting to me that you can be or call yourself pro-Constitution and you are literally siding with a group of people who are antithetical to the constitutional process. But I digress. He has been an outspoken critic of COVID-19 vaccine mandates, mask mandates, and business restrictions since the pandemic forced statewide business closures in March of 2020. Last month, this sheriff said he would not require his employees or job applicants to be vaccinated. That's against the COVID-19 state public health order. Wow, in violation of administrative law. In a telephone interview with the Southern California News Group, the sheriff said he forgot all about his affiliation with the Oath Keepers until the data breach of its website and publicity surrounding his involvement with the organization jarred his memory. This is dangerous. You know, a sheriff is a constitutional authority, and sheriffs have significant rights, abilities, protections under the law, given to them by their state constitution. Now, this sheriff is openly against the Constitution because he supports those who are as well. And he has no problem with it. He is loud, proud, and yes, he joins the cast of Fox News on occasion. Attorney, this sheriff is in violation of administrative law, but it's not really much they can do to him, right?
Right, and you know, it's really important to know he is an elected official. He was just elected in 2018. So voting matters in local elections, not just president, not just Congress, but local elections matter as well. So it's really disturbing how his statements double down. You know, it's not just the fact that he was a member years ago. You know, he said that there was a few people that day, that went into the Capitol. We know 600 people have been arrested, so that's not true. As a law enforcement agent, to be so mischaracterized what happened is disturbing. And he also says he's the last stand against a tyrannical government, which we saw by him not following the public health orders. So what can people do? They can follow their local elections. They can vote. I mean, it's a bigger picture here. People have to wake up to the fact that, democracy here, we are in a fight for democracy, and we need to take every action we can to keep it.
Very well said. Another fight in democracy, Attorney Doll, is the reality of local school boards making common sense decisions about mask mandate protocols, just as they make common sense decisions about dress attire, right? It's called a dress code, or common sense decisions as it relates to teachers and the credentialing they need in order to teach. School boards can do this under their administrative law provision. Well, there's one person who says that school teachers and staff members, they're actually committing child abuse. They are, according to her, trafficking children, or should be compared to human trafficking, and they should die. Here's the video.
Jennifer Bissett, mine. I have 3 kids, and then 2 in the high school, 1 in middle school. According to DHS.gov, human trafficking involves the use of force, fraud, and coercion to obtain some type of labor or commercial sex act. Is it possible that for RSU 16 it is for political agenda and financial gain? I feel like we have talked about finances and where that money went to. It says here in DHS.gov, the trauma caused by the traffickers can be so great that many may not identify themselves as victims or ask for help, even in highly public settings. Is that what RSU 16 has come down to? Or did you not realize that your actions are similar to child predators? It is evident that your actions are similar to child predators. What will you do now? I encourage you to strongly assess the decisions that have been made here today. You are either protecting our children or human trafficking them. Who are you, a trafficker or a predator? And I will quote from the Bible, Matthew 18:6. If anyone causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea. You are responsible for all your decisions for our children.
People say wacky things all the time. I'm not really concerned about the wacky comment here or there. I'm concerned about the round of applause these wacky people are now receiving on a regular basis. So this woman has compared, and this is in Maine, by the way, Poland, Maine. This woman has compared a mask protocol to child abuse, to being a child predator, and to child sex trafficking. I work with a number of organizations that fight to combat the evil of child sex trafficking in the United States and beyond. It is a damn shame that this woman would politicize that matter for the sake of her ridiculous and insane, misguided political point. Let me give you some background. After rejecting 4 other options, the Regional School Unit 16's board of directors agreed to require everybody at its 3 elementary schools to wear a mask when students return to class. Real simple, okay? School systems can do this. The move followed a lengthy debate about whether the 3-town district should mandate the use of masks either by everyone or only for those who are not yet vaccinated, or if the decision should be left entirely in the hands of parents and students. Okay, that's an authentic debate, no problem. The superintendent, however, let's put up his picture, Kenneth Healy. The superintendent plan did not include a mask mandate for anyone. He's contrary to what the city would like to see. He said he strongly urged people who are not vaccinated to wear one, but thought it best to let parents decide if they want to follow the recommendations of health experts or not. But once again, political disagreement, civil disagreement ending in somebody literally accusing civil servants of being child predators. How does this connect? I have not seen this kind of vitriol over a simple administrative mandate in my lifetime. Attorney, have you ever seen anything like this before?
No, and I don't understand why this isn't being directed at the epidemic of school shootings. We had yet another one today, and the trauma and public health emergency it is. Our students are less safe than they were in distance learning, and definitely less safe than dealing with masks. And yet we don't hear this kind of energy, and that is a failing yet again on our children. And like you said, it is a total minimization of the real problem of human trafficking. Ohio just had one of their largest stings ever. It is a real problem that somehow has gotten co-opted from this QAnon type belief, and it's, again, very disturbing. I agree that clapping is almost worse than even what she said, because that means that there is a group of people who somehow are going to equate wearing masks with predators. And that is something we should never minimize, children predators. We don't focus on it actually enough in this country, and we should never minimize it like this.
You know, my question is, where was the zeal of these parents when mass shootings took place in school buildings? Children were outraged. They protested. They left the classroom. They did national protests, local protests. The parents told them it's not worthy of protest. Don't politicize it. This is not the time to talk about it. We should not change the law because of it. What happened to the zeal of these parents when children were being bullied? Where were they? Nowhere to be found whatsoever. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
I'm back to gaslighting. Did you and I talk about gaslighting on Old School?
Probably.
That boss gaslit all his female employees. People who manipulate others like that make you feel like you're the weirdo. Why won't you punch yourself in the face? What is wrong with you? And you're like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Why didn't I just punch myself in the face and poke my eye out? I'm 47 and I just figured it out like earlier this year.
You figured out somebody was doing it to you, or that you were
that it was that it would have been happening my whole life and I didn't realize it.
Right.
Welcome to Indisputable. I'm your host, Dr. Rashad Richey. We got a lot happening today. But what do we do on this show? We tell the truth. You know why we tell the truth? Because the truth is simply indisputable.
Rashad, great to be here. Congratulations on the new show. And I gotta let everybody know that Rashad and I go way back.
Here's the pattern that we see in all of these Karen stories. They think they own stuff they do not own. Now, where does that come from? I don't know, maybe slavery. Maybe they think they should still own black people.
This is what happens when Karens weaponize the police.
When you're used to privilege, equality seems like oppression.
It hits you in a certain way when someone is holding you against your will, treating you like you're a criminal and you're an innocent person. This is something that black people face no matter where they are.
A stronger black economy lends itself to a stronger, greater economy. Don't think it's exclusive of you, it's inclusive of you.
What's your beef with critical race theory?
It adds more fuel to the fire of the racist tendencies that we already have.
We have a generation of problem solvers that can remedy the problem if they are properly taught what the problem is.
You know who created redlining in this country? The white liberal.
I don't give a damn who created it. If it's a racist policy, Shelley, here's what I don't know. I don't know. See, there you go filibustering, brother. You're scared of this truth, but you're gonna get it though.
I've been a fan of TYT, I believe, for the last 6 years.
5 years.
3 years now. 7 years.
4 years now.
2.5 years. I just started because she got me into it.
My boyfriend actually watches it every morning and every night, so I kind of just started watching it with him, and I love it. I mean, it's the only way that I find my news.
Looking through YouTube, looking for like, political shows that look cool.
I came across a very angry rant from Cenk, and that's when I knew.
So I was immediately in love with the show.
And then I haven't missed a live show since then.
10 times a day, I watch the show in the morning.
Whenever I had a bad day at high school, Young Turks.
Man, Cenk is just so blunt and honest, and I love the honesty, and there's no BS behind the news, and they just tell everything like it is.
There's nobody censoring them. There's nobody there to say you can't do this, you can't say that.
That feel of authenticity makes it seem like what they're saying is true.
I feel like I get the real story from the Young Turks.
I am TYT.
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 Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one.
Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
Welcome back. It's indisputable. We have a lot of viewer comments. Before I go to those viewer comments, let me remind everyone, we have been nominated in the Atlanta Magazine Best of Series for Best TV Anchor. You can vote until October 11th. You can vote once a day per the rules. Real simple. We'd love for you to support us. TYT.com/Rashad, TYT.com/RASHAD. Type in my name, Rashad Richey, and voila, you have voted, okay? All right, also, don't forget, Senator Nina Turner joins me right here on Indisputable. That is tomorrow. Make sure you tune in. And the conversation. Tune in as Senator Nina Turner interviews author, educator, and activist Bill McKibben and founder and editor of the Daily Poster, David Sirota. All right, make that happen. We got a lot on the agenda coming up this week. All right, TYT member Occam's Taser. I'm sure he just pays dues for the free t-shirt and gym access. And I looked at their website, listen, their dues are not cheap, okay? All right, Lynn, they always have to tie everything to child predators. You know, they tie everything to everything, right? These are the same people that are anti-critical race theory, but for their argument, they would talk about elements of critical race theory, such as the movement for Black lives in the 60s, the civil rights movement, right? They want to compare their struggle to that struggle while denying the origin of the struggle. It's insane. Okay, parents using their kids and everyone else's kids as political pawns should be guilty of child abuse. I'm not being hyperbolic for once. All right, the great American healthcare famine. Unbelievable comparison from that woman. She has been so gaslit. Meanwhile, the first graders killed in Newtown, Connecticut, would be in high school now. We live in a failed state. Marley Meadows Sanctuary. Oh, so now he's not proud of the Confederate flag. First degree murder and also a hate crime. For Primus or Primus, If you are proud of your Southern heritage, don't throw it away now. Yeah. Peter Hamby, mark of slavery, heritage of pure hatred, past relives itself from the Haiku Dragon. Thank you for that. Jonathan Andrasek, I think, government employee, part of an anti-government group, huh? Exactly. Kimberly McAllister, I am so sick of hearing Christians use the Bible wrongly to justify their actions and beliefs. Imagine how people who were enslaved felt. Yeah. Twitch, they're proud of their hatred and racism until it can be used against them. Exactly. Yeatwood Mac, if it was too inflammatory, then maybe he shouldn't have put it on his car. Yeah. Fidelinero, why would he be apologetic? They're proud of their association with other bigot patriots. Yeah. Phoenix 32778, this is crazy. If these zealots put half as much effort into protecting their kids from being shot in schools, we would have better gun laws, etc. Absolutely would. 100% right on that. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
That's very nice.
Don't you have a child in the car?
Yeah, and I'm showing him what people like you are doing. It's wrong.
And I didn't see.
Wow, look at that. Look at that. So you guys could easily back up now.
Spoke with you. Someone came up to speak with you.
Someone even told you. Don't worry, we're gonna post this on YouTube so everybody could see. Wow. Wow, unbelievable. No respect at all.
Yeah. They don't.
Respect.
You come near me?
I'm not coming near you. I'm not coming near you.
Then get your camera out of my face.
Yeah?
Yeah. Go back to your.
You have lots of respect. Oh, go back to my country? Go back to my country?
Holy jeez.
Go back to my country. Hey, I'm in my country.
I never said anything to you.
There were actually two Karens here. The first Karen started talking jazz initially. And then once it was revealed that Mama Karen was racist, all of a sudden she rolls down her window and says, I didn't say anything to you. That's a damn lie. We got the video. You were the first person that said something to this individual. This happened in Pittsburgh. And according to the narrative, this mother-daughter Karen duo, they decided to break into a line of McDonald's. Okay, and the guy started recording. Well, they were upset, I guess, very offended that this recording had taken place, and they knew what they did. They knew what they did was wrong. They knew it was an insertion of privilege. But then it goes racist. Go back to your country, this Karen says, because she owns America. You know, all Karens believe they own America, and it comes out in various ways. Really interesting stuff. Attorney, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I love the fact that he kind of gets out of his car just because I'm really sensitive to how male-female interactions are. But absolutely does not mean that she should have said something like that. And the reason why it's so important, because hey, people can be kind of like awful people and say things, is when we were talking about the Oath Keepers, it's this belief that they own this country and people who do not look like them do not belong here, and it justifies them from taking all sorts of actions, including the attack on our Capitol on January 6th. And that's why what her statement says is really so bad.
I wish people would get out of the conversation, take the narrative away, talking about, oh, this is my country. Well, and typically coming from, especially a white woman, a white male, their ancestors were the biggest thieves known to the planet as far as stealing land. I find it really ironic that that's still part of the narrative that they say to others, when we know one thing for sure, their ancestors did not come from here. Doesn't that seem ironic to you?
Yeah, absolutely. We are clearly a country of immigrants, and it's so clear that it's really just how you look, right? I mean, he doesn't even sound like he has an accent. So it's really based on how he looks. And this is what I think. When you look around, when I'm out on the street, there are so many variations of colors of people. And these types of Karens who base it on, if you are white enough, that's how you belong in this country, you're fading away. This is, you can only hold on to this view for so long because it's gonna be gone. We are a melting pot and we're gonna look like that.
Yeah. Did you have a mean bus driver when you were in school, attorney? Did you have a mean bus driver, or was your bus driver nice?
I pretty much was able to walk to school, so I don't think I had a mean one.
All right, so I had some mean bus drivers. I had some nice bus drivers. The nicest one, her name was Mrs. Bridges. She was sweet as pie. Now, I had some mean ones too. But compared to this one, my mean bus drivers were Mary Poppins. Double dose.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
This bus driver makes my kids cry every day.
Go ahead. I love you. Have a good day.
Please don't yell at my kids today.
I don't yell at your kid.
Yeah, you do.
You're not too long.
Don't yell.
Shut your mouth.
You're not gonna talk.
Shut your mouth.
Who do you think you are?
Who do you think you are?
I'm asking you not to yell at my kids.
How dare you tell me not to yell at your kids?
Yes, they cry every day. Yeah. I can't hear you. And how now did she flip me off?
And then she flips off the parent, right? Of course she yells at the kids. Now the reason why I wanted to highlight this particular Karen is because this is extremely dangerous. If those kids are coming home every day crying because of a mean ass bus driver, that's adversely impacting their social and psychological development. The mother was completely right to say something, to acknowledge that she is aware of it. And then what does the bus driver do? Continue in the same action that she says she does not do. This is a dangerous part of the ecosystem of education, ladies and gentlemen. And we don't talk about it enough, but when you have adults around kids, especially very young kids like this, who act in this way, kids will internalize the emotional damage. They will cry to their parents and feel as if they are doing something wrong every single day of their lives. Attorney, what are your thoughts here?
I agree. How adults, teachers, staff treat children absolutely defines actually their whole educational experience. I mean, a bad bus drive to school, that child might feel off the rest of the day. It's so important how we treat our children. It is true that right now there's a scarcity of bus drivers because nobody wants to drive a car, full of unvaccinated children because they're too young. So I imagine this driver, even after her outburst, which shows that she was really a short-tempered the way she reacted, probably won't get fired because they're desperate for bus drivers, and it's possible she's never interacted with children before, but they hired her anyway because they needed a driver.
What did it for me, it wasn't even her tone, all right? Her tone was obviously inappropriate, but when she told the parent to shut your mouth, okay, so now you want me to believe that you don't talk to children this way, or even worse, right? You're not making a good case for yourself here, lady. But you make a great point, because what we've seen in industry, in education, is the reality of COVID. That COVID has created some nuance here that we have to deal with, that under a normal circumstance, we will say, listen, we have a backlog of individuals who actually want to drive buses. Now, that's completely the opposite. Yeah. So we're going to continue to follow the Karens across the world. But while we can, provide some tongue-in-cheek commentary, I wanted to impress upon everyone that the development of young children, especially children that age, that young, is really important that the atmosphere around them continues to be conducive to decency, to fairness, transparency, honesty, good behavior. Because without that, once again, they will internalize and sometimes even start mimicking the behavior of adults. One thing I've learned about young people over the years of being a youth mentor, a school teacher, and even a college professor is that young minds are always learning. They're always learning. They may not always listen, but they're always learning, all right? All right, we got more on the other side. Is indisputable, stick and stay.
I'll predict right here for you, Chris. I think Donald Trump will leave office before his term is up. He'll be humiliated, embarrassed, and I know him. He's not gonna wanna lose, and he's gonna run for the hills.
You got that bet all day long.
Okay, let's get after it. Now, so look, Jake has made some good predictions, and this is in good fun. I could not disagree more.
There's no bromance between the two of them. You got that bet all day long, Janky, you. Oh, you stop. In the meantime, let's call him out on the damage.
No, but
I just got a Roku set. Did basically a little bit of channel surfing, and I was like, there we are.
Yeah.
There we are. And then I turned it on, and it was John and Brett on Damage Report making fun of me.
Oh no.
So you are so busted. I even took a picture of it, okay? They're talking about my predictions. I got a new prediction for you, John Idarola.
You're doing a show that's blowing the doors off everybody.
Young Turks is the largest online news network, not a big deal. We're gonna rock the boat. We're gonna be counter-establishment. We're gonna tell people the truth to the best of our abilities. We're so sick of this corruption. We're not the robots on TV. I actually care about the news. Guilty, I care. Fourth day on Occupy Wall Street. Last night we launched Wolfpack. It's us pushing our ideas out there, trying to help the country in every way that we can, trying to make this place just a little bit better. Reporting from the Hillary-Bernie debate, I gotta be honest, you know what we do, we cover it for real. For us, this system isn't working. Free and fair elections.
And when he told the cops that day, when they came to drag her away, and he said, if you're gonna chain her, you're gonna chain me. If you're gonna arrest her, you're gonna arrest me.
At TYT, our vision is to be the leading global brand in news and talk by serving the audience with authentic commentary and analysis, and to become the digital campfire for the world. And we plan to accomplish that by serving the audience with uniquely authentic commentary and analysis. Put another way, we seek to make TYT into the digital campfire for the world. Today, the traditional mainstream media, along with the government and many of our cherished institutions, have unfortunately been captured by corporate interests. Audiences increasingly sense that they're not getting the whole story or even the truth from once trusted outlets, whether it's broadcast and cable TV news networks or national newspapers and magazines. Instead, the audience is turning to alternative news sources online, the TYT network preeminent among them. Unlike our competitors in the traditional media, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to big pharma. And unlike conservative sites online, we're not bankrolled by billionaires looking to push their right-wing propaganda. We only answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've delivered by producing honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend.
Hi, I'm Bartholomew Joseph Kyle. I do audio for the main show, The Young Turks. I also do audio for Post Game. I started in 2006. I met Cenk Uygur at the Iraq for Sale screening that was directed by Robert Greenwald. And watching that, I want to figure out a way to be part of something that's genuine and authentic.
Welcome back. It's indisputable. A lot on the agenda. Let me read some of these amazing comments. YouTube Super Chat says, Kiki off 05. I know I said that wrong. I apologize in advance. It's always funny when Karens walk up and say, get out of my face. That's another thing. Remember, we're keeping a book here of Karenicity. So that's another one we need to put in the book. That they will walk up into your face and say, get out of my face. All right, good observation. Ralph Smalls, I don't understand how white America thinks they own America when they've taken everything from every ethnic background and called it their own. Wow. Yep. TYT member, HR Hat the second, and I think Danion. Mama Bear got a talking to on the way home from Lil Cubby. Lynn, how awful it must be for those students to wake up to only dread starting their school day on the bus. I just can't imagine that, but it happens. It happens, and it's extremely unfortunate. Okay, Gucci Mane, she's the South Park bus driver. That's who she reminded me of. I said, I've seen that lady somewhere before, and you're right, it was on South Park. Okay, Charles Lee, Joseph Massey III. I was a school bus driver in the 80s and 90s. We never spoke to parents like that, even if they were yelling at us. The county needs to fire her ASAP. She's emotionally harming those children, and she is. Trudy, thank you, Trudy Lawrence. Trudy Lawrence all over the place. Instead of 2 segments, we have a double dose of Karen's 1 incident. I know, you really got triple Karenicity today. I apologize in advance, okay? C3339409, thank you. The whole show is, I wish a Karen would. No, not the whole show. Twitch, Rhino Lock, 2 for the price of 1. Yep. JD Smith died, this is gonna be hard. Digiartist, people do love McDonald's French fries. Can't love them that damn much. Okay. All right. We got more, very sad story, extremely sad story. A black male told these officers, I can't breathe, 29 damn times. Just imagine that. 29 times I can't breathe. And what do you think happens to him? He dies. Here's the video. He was having a medical seizure, okay? Let's put up a picture of the man they killed. His name is John Neville. A lawsuit has now been filed by the family of the man who died following his detention in a North Carolina jail. The jail staff is to blame. Security video of the jail staffers pinning the man to the point of suffocation was posted online. This is such a difficult story, okay? But I want you to be reminded that this man said, I can't breathe 29 times. And one of the officers is heard saying, basically, well, if you couldn't breathe, you couldn't say I can't breathe. Well, people say I can't breathe, damn it, believe them. What they're saying is I can't breathe well. I can't breathe freely. You're suffocating me. I'm dying. Neville was on the floor in a seizure-like state, sweating, had blood in his mouth, He became agitated as a nurse tried to take his blood pressure and cried out, and officers tried to restrain him using their body weight. A spit mask was placed over Neville's face, and he was transferred to another room in a restraint chair in the observation cell. He was pinned to the mattress and restrained by 5 officers, as you saw, as he pleaded for help and repeated, "I can't breathe." The lawsuit alleges an hour passed between when Neville displayed signs of medical emergency and when he was taken to the hospital. A district attorney announced last year that Neville died of brain injury due to positional and compressional asphyxia during the prone restraint. Okay? They killed him. Let's put up a picture of these killers. Those are your killers. Former detention officers: Lavette Maria Williams, Edward Joseph Rossell, Sarah Elizabeth Poole, Christopher Brian Stamper, Antonio Maurice Woodley, and the person that took an oath to provide medical care, Michelle Huggins, all named as defendants. The 5 officers and nurses have all been charged with involuntary manslaughter in the death of this man that told them 29 times, "You are killing me. You are killing me. I can't breathe." Not one of them, think about this. Not one of them said, "Wait a minute, guys, let's back up here. Let's give him some space here." Nobody treated him like a human being. Put up the pictures again. I want you to notice everybody up here, they're not white. Put up the pictures. You see, this is called systemic. You have adopted the narrative of your historic oppressor. You are now carrying out the will of those who don't give a damn about black bodies. You got 2 black folks right here. They didn't give a damn about that black body either. They all can go to hell as far as I'm concerned. Attorney, the man told them 29 times, "I can't breathe." What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's incredibly hard to watch that video, and I can't imagine actually being there when he's saying that. And that does display the callousness that the lawsuit is alleging. And I think there was about an hour before he even received medical attention. I think this lawsuit is very strong. I mean, this is so similar to how George Floyd was murdered.
Yeah.
This man was killed December 2019, so a few months prior to that. But as we see, George Floyd's family received about a $27 million settlement. I imagine they will also receive a settlement. The factual is so similar. He was in the jail, first of all, so they know they had no weapons. He was no real threat, and how they handled a medical seizure, as you say, clearly there's liability on this point. I think they also have criminal charges, like you said, involuntary manslaughter. From what we can see so far, I think those are also maybe likely to stick for them, as well as they should. This is really a very tragic an awful thing to witness and to see.
Yeah, and once again, where was he going? He was inside of a cell precisely designed to make sure nobody can go anywhere nor hurt themselves. That's the cell he was in. Where was he going? If everybody would have just stepped out and allowed the brother to calm down, he would be alive today. Maybe uncomfortable in that lonely state, but he would be alive today. They didn't even follow protocol of their own department. Okay. There's been a rise, ladies and gentlemen, of anti-Karens. We've been highlighting those on this show. I think it is an important element of our society. Here's another Karen.
Are you?
Okay. All right. This Karen at a hospital got into another woman's face. This was in a hospital room, waiting area, lobby area. And then this happened. Anti-Karen comes.
You're screaming at employees in Walmart. Get out of here. Not racist. Yes, it is. No, it's not. The United States doesn't have an official Stay away from the other people, you hear me? If you stay in this chair, get the fuck out. Do that again, I'll kick you out myself.
This has been floating around social media, has already gone viral. And because I have covered so many Karens today, you had a double dose of Karen, and then one of those Karens, you had two Karens in one. I said, let me show an anti-Karen. Now, yes, was this anti-Karen aggressive? Yes, but he matched the energy of the Karen. It seems like that's necessary these days. The rise of anti-Karens, we're seeing a lot of this happen, attorney.
Yes, and she got a taste of her own medicine, clearly. The Karens, it's a power trip, right? And they should remember there's always somebody more powerful than them. And this was a great example of that. Do it in front of somebody who actually has some authority, and he definitely put her in her place. And I imagine that waiting room is rather peaceful with him trying to break up any conflicts that might occur.
Well said. There's a book titled, this book is anti-racist. It's a children's book. It's an anti-racist book. That book has a school teacher in trouble because parents claim it violates their faith and values. Let's put up a picture of the book. The title of the book, this book is anti-racist. Okay, let's do a deeper dive. The other night, a school board in Southlake, Texas voted to reprimand a 4th grade teacher for having the book in her classroom. One board member, Sherry Mills, made this comment before the motion was taken. Here it is.
Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yes, I would like to let the teachers know, if you are worried about teaching school in this school district, that you should watch this vote. I want you to know that you are right to be worried by whoever votes yes for this vote.
And I would add that I think the administration did a great job in investigating this and trying to work with the family to address the concerns related to this matter. And I am in agreement with the administration's decision. So with that, is there any other discussion? We can vote on the motion. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 3-2.
A damn shame to reprimand a school teacher for having a book that's literally anti-racist. Let me give you some more background to this. It appears the school administration investigated the parent complaint and decided against discipline of the teacher, okay? Right move, there's no issue here. Then the parents appealed to the school board and the 3-2 vote happened, overturned the administration decision, formally reprimanding the teacher. The parents' complaint was not only that the teacher had the book in class, but also how the teacher reacted after the parents complained to the principal. Again, the district investigated and found no reason to reprimand. The parents, they go to the school board and they say, oh no, this is against our values. The book teaches how to build coalitions, how to connect and not be disconnected. And it does it in the context of child learning. These parents, who I guarantee you have not read one page in that damn book, could care less about bringing people together. What they care about is a political agenda, because to them, they will classify everything under critical race theory. And I told you this from day one. They're not banning CRT. They're banning what you just saw, the reality of racism and racial issues in America, even when it's taught in the proper context. Sister, it's always a pleasure having you on Indisputable. Tell people how they can follow you and check you out.
They can follow me on Twitter, Ask Dina Doll 1. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, the bullpen is next. Stick and stay.
You know, old school's pitched to me from Cenk. It'll just be me, you, Jesus, Ben, and maybe Michael. And we're like, okay, cool. I can do that every week. As you can see, me, Jesus, Ben.
When you make the order, it says, don't exceed $20.01. So I'll just order literally anything to get it as close to that as I possibly can.
I'm sorry that I ordered $45 worth of food and got an email saying, sir, would you like to rethink that? What are you talking about?
I was in hell. I was just like, oh my God, the theater's empty, nobody's here. Everyone on screen keeps f***ing cursing. Why did I let this happen? And the whole thing looks like it was shot through a glass of milk. My mom's gonna be so mad.
If you're looking for a heart attack, the short way, baby.
Wrong. I did put mayonnaise on it. I'm the most in shape, overweight person you'll find.
That's right.
He was like, why didn't you answer my call? I called you 39 times.
Yuck. But what makes you stop right before 40? You know, what makes you say, nah, man, I ain't doing that no more. I'm cool.
And I called you back on the air. And I was like, okay, Kevin Smith, big shot. What the f? You said you'd come on and you didn't come on.
I'm sure I took that very well.
Yeah, you did. You called me back the next day and said, I thought it was 7 a.m. There's now deep fake porn. I don't know if you guys have heard of this.
Heard of it? I just had some in the car.
I'll tell you who I'm not f***ing, Ben Mankiewicz. Have you guys ever felt that?
Not ever.
And now it's just the three of us.
This is the intimate hour.
By the way, the last half hour of this, we're not even rolling.
Fair enough.
Easily.
See, I watch movies.
I'm done with both of you.
Once Craig starts laughing, I can't stop. And I was just gonna ask you about getting high.
Snoogans, Snoochie Boochies.
And members, of course, you can get the whole damn thing. TYT.com, join and free trial.
I'm old school with the old folks.
Good. John, come back.
It's time to switch to music.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
Do your best.
He's a little like...
Oh. No one's happy now.
Give him another try.
Oh.
Wow. This is the weirdest game.
I'm Brett. I would like to refer to this segment as the Do I Still Have This Talent show. So I want to see if I can play harmonica without my hands. I don't know why I have that. Nothing's gonna be more impressive than that. I can also spin a basketball on my finger. While drinking. I'm gonna spin a basketball on my finger while drinking apple juice. You can do this, dude. It's also flat. I don't know if that helps or hurts. And it seems to be somewhat wobbly. Ta-da! Nope, I don't know how to do this one. This one's a fail. Nope. Oh God, I'm so mad.
It's indisputable. Welcome back. We have a lot of show left. Let me remind everyone that this show has been nominated in Atlanta Magazine's Best of series. If you enjoy the program, you can vote. You can vote. Best TV anchor, Atlanta Magazine's Best of Atlanta 2021. Real simple. Go to tyt.com/Rashad, tyt.com/RASHAD, and type my name in the box. Submit your vote. You can vote once a day until October 11th. Also, Senator Nina Turner will join me tomorrow. Don't miss that powerhouse of a woman. And watch the conversation live today, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time, tyt.com/live, right before the Young Turks. Tune in as Senator Nina Turner interviews author, educator, and activist Bill McKibben and founder and editor of the Daily Poster, David Sirota. All right, all very, very good stuff. And don't forget about the podcast. We're everywhere, wherever you get your podcast from. You can take the bullpen wherever you go. You can take news of the day wherever you go. Make it happen. Acast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon. I didn't even know we were on Amazon. I was on Amazon the other day and they recommended me to me. It was quite interesting. All right, make sure you tune in. A lot of ways to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now get into the comments. A lot of viewer comments. I will read as many as I can. TYT member Mickey C, the silver-haired dragon, tears streaming down my face. He was a human being being treated in such an inhumane way. I cannot comprehend how those cops didn't feel his pain and fear. Enraging and so very sad with their lack of humanity. See, you can't train that. People keep saying they need to be trained, they need to be reformed. No, damn it, they need to be replaced. You don't train that. If you can't tell a person is dying when they have told you 29 times, I'm dying, I can't breathe. Lynn, as if people are not already stressed out being in a hospital. I know, exactly. Lynn, the next book they need is How to Be a Critical Thinker. Agreed. Edwin Garcia, Karen put in her place by a rent-a-cop. Now that's a new low for Karen, at least in Karen's mind. Twitch, Nick Wax, all of the guards need to be fired, stripped of their position, and denied any ability to ever work in any law enforcement capacity. Well, they've also been charged with manslaughter, okay? Dissident PM. These are the same type of people who assert that white people are the most discriminated against group of people. Yeah. Is it Octo Squiddies? Texas School Board self-reporting they're racist, just like if you're not Antifa, you're pro-fascist. If you're not anti-racist, you're pro-racist. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the bullpen. In the bullpen today, we have economics professor at Texas Tech University, a co-author of Money and the Rule and Comparative Economics Research Fellow, Free Market Institute, commentator Young Voices, Alexander Salter. Wow, impressive guy. Mr. Salter, how are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, Professor. We're gonna chop it up about socialism versus capitalism. I don't want to presume what you know or believe about those comparative dynamics. So if you would, give us your sentiment as it relates to those two operations.
Sure. So obviously I'm in the pro-capitalist camp. I think that that's pretty clear from my track record of publications. The recent public conversation that surrounded capitalism and socialism has been both exciting and frustrating. It's been exciting because these are the big debates. These are the big questions on how we organize our systems for producing and distributing resources. Let's have the debate. That's wonderful. It's wonderful when we have these historical discussions and actually get into the nuts and bolts of what's going on. I'm frustrated though, because I don't think that either the people who self-identify as socialists or the critics of socialism actually know what socialism is. I don't think there are very many socialists in the United States. Socialism means public ownership of the means of production. It means governments control the commanding heights of the economy. Economists don't agree on anything. If you ask 10 economists what socialism means, they will all give you that definition. So many people who identify as quote unquote democratic socialists they're not really socialists. Oftentimes, when people on the right criticize socialism, they're not really criticizing socialism. And so it's a little bit sad that we're having this once-in-a-generation opportunity, but everybody seems to be talking past each other.
You know, it's really interesting because I actually agree with much of your sentiment. We do something in research science, you know this, it's called define the variables. So give me your definition of socialism, your working definition of socialism, and your working definition of capitalism, and let's go from there.
Absolutely. I'm going with the standard definitions that economists have used for more than 100 years. Socialism, no private property, government ownership of the factors of production. Capitalism, there is private property, private ownership of the factors of production. On the one hand, you have all the productive resources concentrated in the public sector, that's socialism. On the other hand, under capitalism, you have decentralized property ownership. I think that that's the right definition and that's the place to start.
Can you name a pure capitalistic nation?
No, there isn't one.
Can you name a pure socialistic nation?
2 for 2. No, there isn't one.
You cannot.
There are some that come much closer than others.
So here's my point, Professor. Here's my point to you. You have just said you cannot name a pure capitalistic nation. You cannot name a pure socialistic nation. But we still say that nations are either capitalistic or socialistic, which is a deviation from definition, because what we're really saying is that countries have variations of capitalism and variations of socialism, correct?
I am 100% on board with that, absolutely.
All right, we can start from that premise.
Where a lot of the nuance comes into this conversation.
We can start from that premise. Let's look at policy by policy, right? Because I think you would agree as an economist, and I know you are well versed on economic theory, barter theory, and the whole nine. When it comes to economy or capitalism in the ecosystem of money, you must have some level of common sense regulation in those marketplaces for just the decency of humanity. Would you not agree? Or are you for a purely free market system?
I think that you do need rules governing market outcomes. I don't think that necessarily those rules have to come from the public sector. I think if you look at a lot of times and places, just for self-interested reasons, a lot of businesses will self-regulate. Maybe you say we need more than that. A lot of times industries come up with voluntary codes of compliance. Those also do a good job of governing firm behavior and making sure that producers, who obviously know way more about their good than consumers do, don't take advantage of the little guy. Now, whether or not you want regulation really depends on what your goal is. Are we talking about keeping products safe? Are we talking about getting a specific distribution of income, purchasing power equality across people? Let's define what the goal is, and then we can focus on smart common sense solutions to try and get those goals in terms of
Let me tell you some of the goals. So let me tell you some of the goals. Obviously, if you're talking about tort law, you're referencing product safety, right? So you need regulatory standards to make sure that companies not only have an incentive to produce products that are safe, but they also have incentives to give fair warning if there could be unsafe practices, use, etc. And there's common sense remedy when there's a manufacturing issue. So that's regulation in the marketplace of business. Another regulation that I like is the regulation of a minimum wage requirement, because without any level of minimum wage requirement, you will have people being paid $4, $5, $6 an hour. Now that will fluctuate with the economy, right? The number of jobs available compared to the number of people willing to work them. So that will fluctuate, but we know for sure that in certain market settings, a capitalistic or purely capitalistic system will always take advantage of that marketplace dynamic without regulation whatsoever. So those are some common sense regulations. Also, the regulation against discriminatory behavior that could be gender bias or race bias. We don't want to see that in our workplaces either, right? That's a common sense regulatory factor. Would you not agree?
I'm certainly on board with the Civil Rights Act. The minimum wage, though, I suspect that you and I disagree. I'm not a fan of the minimum wage. I actually think that the economic literature on this that shows that it really takes the bottom rung out of the employment ladder is pretty convincing. And I think the reason is a lot of this debate has been looking at the wrong outcome or the wrong goal. We're all asking, does the minimum wage destroy jobs? Do people actually get unemployed when the minimum wage gets raised? And oftentimes the answer is no. But that's not what economics predicts. Economics predicts that when the minimum wage gets raised, workers are going to see some of their hours cut. And that result does hold up a lot stronger in the literature when we actually research this. So it's all well and good to say we want people to earn $15 an hour. I'm certainly on board with the sentiment. But on the one hand, we have to ask, where are workers better off? Where they're earning a lower wage, but they're able to get 40 hours a week? Or whether they're getting a higher hourly wage and they can't get all their hours, and so they can't make ends meet. So I think that there are some complicated trade-offs that we have to look at here. And I think that the body of the evidence shows that the minimum wage, while well-intentioned, does more harm than good.
Well, let me give you a contrast narrative to that, because what we've seen, even though every time there was a debate about increasing the minimum wage, everyone on the right said this is going to destroy jobs. You know what happened? Marketplace correction happened. You're an economist, you know that. It did not lead to the massive job losses that people said it would lead to. There was a marketplace adjustment for that increase every single time. The issue is inflation. You have a dollar that is purchasing less and less and less. I'm for increasing the minimum wage. I'm also for increasing it based on regional opportunity, because one region is more expensive than the other. If you have a uniform minimum wage, let's say it is $15 an hour. Well, you have some cities, it costs $21 an hour to survive in that city, not 15, right? So you still don't have a problem solved in that particular regional economy or economic reality. If you take this based on what's called a graduated approach, right? Because I think many times economists like yourself, you will use the argument of, well, if you just increase the minimum wage, those who are young, those who are less skilled will end up getting no job, basically. Their unemployment, and you call that bottom rung in the statistical data, that will increase significantly, right? And yes, we have seen that. But we've also seen other countries that do have high minimum wages. What they do is they graduate you in based on age. And so while they have a standard or a federalized minimum wage that's high, $15 an hour and more comparatively speaking, they also have a different set for a younger worker to make sure younger workers are still able to get that experience. And as a trade-off, they're able to also have those 40 hours. I feel as if many times in the conversation or debate about increasing the minimum wage, none of that is considered, right? It's either 100% this way or 100% that way. I would love to live in a world where $15 an hour was the set minimum wage for everybody, no matter what. But I also know the reality of this, Professor, that if you set it without a graduation phase for younger workers, young black workers will have the highest rate of unemployment because of the discriminatory patterns that already exist in hiring in the first place.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Now, let me be clear, I'm against the minimum wage and I'm against a graduated minimum wage. But you pointed out something very important. Regions are not equal. Workers are not equal within the same region, and they're certainly not equal across regions. They have differing characteristics. And so we need some system that takes account of that. Well, we have a system that takes account of that, the market price for labor, meaning the wage rate. I think what a lot of these debates overlook is what we're really looking to do is make sure that workers actually have some minimum standard of living. We want to make sure that people have enough to live with dignity. And that's a sentiment that I can get behind. Okay. In which case, though, I wonder if we shouldn't actually be talking about, instead of messing with market prices, which has all sorts of nasty consequences, maybe we should be talking about the safety net instead.
All right, so we can get into that. And I want to make sure I clarify. When I say younger workers, I'm talking about 14, 15, 16 years of age. I'm talking about very young workers who need that experience getting into the workforce. We can get into the safety net, but before we go there, I wanted to do just kind of an analysis of more left-leaning policy compared to right-leaning policy, right? Do you think that left-leaning economic policy, and also policies that are not considered economic policies but impact the ecosystem of economy, do you think left-leaning policies have been more effective to grow the economy, or right-leaning policies?
I'm going to go with right-leaning policies, provided that we understand conventionally that that's broadly consistent with tax cuts and deregulation. I think that that's what's going to work to grow the economy. And I think that a lot of policies by the left, while well-intentioned in terms of trying to equalize outcomes, have been a drag on the economy. Now, we can debate how good economic growth is as opposed to more equitable outcomes. I'm a growth guy. I think that the only long-term poverty program that has ever worked in human history is economic growth. So I'm actually proud to come down on that side of the debate, and I'll defend that.
All right, well, let me give you some facts, okay? Let me take you to the administration of Donald Trump. Donald Trump claimed that he would cut taxes at a record rate, that you would pay the lowest amount you've ever paid in modern history. He made all of these proclamations during the campaign. So let me take you to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, right? That was very famous, very popular. They hyped it up, but here's what it actually did. The individual American taxpayer actually paid more in taxes that year. They paid $93 billion more in actual taxes. While they had more in refund payments, they actually paid more because one, they took away a lot of what you could claim as write-offs. They took them away, and you had these gradual increases in the taxation system. And then you had this massive tax cut of roughly $91 billion for businesses. And when you looked at it, brother, it ended up being a tax shift and not a tax cut. It was no tax cut whatsoever. It was a great design, but it was designed to be a trick. And they played with the numbers and promoted it as a tax cut when Americans actually paid much more in taxes that year. Let me take you back to 25 to 30 years, right, of Democratic presidents. Actually, it's 40 years. So under Democratic presidents, black families grew their income an average of about $1,000 a year. It only grew about $142 under Republicans. Black unemployment rate during that same comparative time fell by a net of 7.9% across 26 years of Democratic presidents, but it went up 13.7% under that same time under Republicans, okay? So across the field of Democratic leadership, black poverty declined by 23.6 percentage points, but it actually grew 3 points under Republicans. Latinos had a very similar outcome. Binder and Watson estimated that the average Democratic real GDP growth, okay, was a rate of 4.3% versus 2.5% for Republicans. That's going all the way back to Truman. So line by line, from adding jobs to the economy or to the workforce, thus increasing your revenue for the economy, President Obama inheriting a country where you are hemorrhaging 750,000 to 1 million jobs. He turns it around, creates record unemployment, private sector growth, booms, it comes out the seams, right? He doesn't get the credit for it on the economic side. And even with a historical comparison all the way back to President Truman, Democrats have increased GDP growth, private sector growth, non-farm growth at a rate much higher than Republicans have every single administration, without exception, by the way. Not one exception to that rule. So how is it that you as an economist, you will still say that those with right-leaning policies are better for economic growth when the data is contrary to your conclusion?
Excellent questions. I think I'll take them in order. Let's start with the tax. I'm actually fully in agreement with your analysis of what the tax cut did. All of that sounds great to me. Closing loopholes, fewer deductions, simplifying the tax codes. I like that.
But you agree then it was a lie. It was a lie then, Professor, right? A political lie when Trump said you're going to pay less in taxes. That was a lie.
I don't think it was a lie because we have to distinguish between, on the one hand, tax rates and tax revenues. You cited a figure saying that Americans paid about 90 billion more in tax revenues, right? That's not necessarily inconsistent with a tax cut if compared to what was going on under the previous tax rates. We're doing so much more productive economic activity that we generate more tax revenue. In general, simplifying the tax code and at the same time expanding the base is the way to go in terms of both increasing efficiency and equity. Okay. So I'm actually a pretty big critic of the Trump administration. I don't think it was good for this country and I didn't support it. I think the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was one of the things that administration did that had a good track record, and I'm proud to defend it. When it comes to the other statistics, again, I'm sure you're 100% correct. My issue with that is if you look at the influence of who's in the Oval Office, who's in the White House, we all pretend that the president has a lot more power over the American economy than the president has. We can say that President Obama inherited a mess and he sort of got blamed for that. I'm sympathetic to that. He shouldn't have gotten blamed for it. He inherited it. But neither did he really turn it around, because there are economic forces that are pushing markets to do what they do. We have to discuss the policies that Congress is passing, right? Legislation is not the same across all these things. Taxes, transfer payments, all sorts of variables that matter are changing. And so we can't just line up the economic growth statistics with administrations and say, oh, Democrats were in the black, oh, Republicans were in the red. It just doesn't work like that. I think
you understand this.
The economic literature and show that lower tax policies and lighter regulatory touches are generally good for most Americans.
So let me push back on that. My producers are telling me we're almost out of time. 100% of all increased GDP growth has happened under Democratic presidents. That is a variable set worth analyzing. So when we analyze that variable set, what is the cause and effect relationship between Democratic policies and actual economic growth? Well, one major one is the funding for job training, education, technical skills. There's a massive influx of federal spending compared to Republicans who typically defund these programs. So when you have a Democrat or a Democratic policy or left-leaning policy, they say, okay, listen, we know that people need to be trained. They don't necessarily need a 4-year degree, but they need to be trained. So we're going to increase this budget in order to make sure we have more trained individuals for the marketplace, because we see where the marketplace is going. Republicans have tended to defund many of these programs or create what's called a localization of them through state government, right? That has had a real cause and effect relationship on economic growth and economic decrease. So yes, that's not an economic policy, brother, but it has impact on the economy. I would love to have you back on some of the nuances of policy, because I think you are a worthy debater on many levels, brother. So, Professor, I hope to have you back.
Anytime, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Don't forget about the conversation coming next. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.